What's good, South Jersey? I'm Isaiah Showell, and I had the pleasure of sitting down with Miss Cumberland County herself, Miss Ashley Campbell, and we had an amazing conversation. And I got to hear about what she wants to do with her platform as Miss Cumberland County and what she's advocating for as far as mental health is concerned. What a blessing it was to have that conversation. Miss Cumberland County, you're definitely what's good in South Jersey this week. I want people to get to know you. And I really want you, let's start off with this. Can you describe yourself? What are the best 3 words you have to describe yourself? If nobody, I'm a stranger. I never met Miss Cumberland County. I never met Ashley Campbell. So how would you describe yourself in 3 words? Best 3 words.
If I were describing myself to a stranger, I would say that Ashley is energetic, yet calm and reserved. However, I'm very inviting, and that's about maybe 3 to 4 words, but I think that entails the scope of my personality. So, yeah.
Very inviting, for sure. How'd you get to be that way?
I think it's just because I have a lot of experience meeting new people, and personally, everything that I've experienced in my own life has taught me that you just need to be kind to whoever you come across because you don't know what people are going through in their lives. And that's something that I keep really, really dear to my heart. So honestly, a smile can change someone else's life. So being inviting is key. And that's how I feel about it.
Well, okay. I agree. You know what? That makes me think about you and say, oh, so when she advocates for mental health, that makes a lot of sense because it seems like you're a very considerate person. Would you say that you're a pretty considerate person?
I would say that. I'm a psychology major, so I care a lot about other people and what other people endure in their life. And I would say that I'm an empath. So mental health is something that's very important to me.
What is your plan? What is your plan when it comes to being Miss Cumberland County and then fighting so hard and being somewhat of a billboard for mental health and making it aware and available to young teen girls, young teens in general, even adults? Because now it's almost a resurgence of mental health, I think, because I think it was taboo to talk about going to see therapists or even admitting that I need someone to talk to.
Right.
But now it's more acceptable. So what are your plans to just be another beacon of light for mental health advocacy? So
one thing that I keep in the back of my mind whenever I go to speak about mental health is how it relates to people of color and how it affects marginalized groups, because that's a core thing that I advocate for when it comes to my platform and my social impact. So what I've been doing so far is I'm the founder of a community mental health initiative, and that's called the One Step Forward Initiative. And through that, since 2019, I've hosted art therapy programs. I had my first event at the Alm Center here in Bridgeton, and I brought down my old dance teacher. He's a professional choreographer, and we had a free dance lesson. Donations were accepted, and he motivational speech afterward. And for me at the time, mental health was something that I was able to talk about through the arts since I'm a dancer. And I feel like now being 21 years old, I'm empowered to use my voice, and I always have been, but now I'm encouraging myself to do it. But when I first started advocating for mental health, you couldn't get me to say 2 words. I was a dancer. I didn't sing. I didn't do any of that because I didn't want to use my voice. So I found my peace through dance. So that was one thing that I first started encouraging in Cumberland County. I would go and speak to girls groups about how speaking about mental health and talking about our mental health and destigmatizing it. And then now in the role of Miss Cumberland County, I've been to a few school districts. I've been to probably 4 so far. I have another one to go to at the end of the week. And I've been doing presentations, and I've been engaging conversations with students about what our mental health is and how we can go about it, how we can have healthy practices, and then what happens, if we don't talk about it. Because in all reality, being a person of color, that's not something that was granted to us culturally and historically growing up. So as Miss Cumberland County, I would just say my goal is to really plant seeds where I can and really, like I said, share love and really make those impacts in people's lives and just showing them that it's okay to not be okay. And I think that that goes a very, very long way because it went a long way for me.
So in your travels, almost like a mental health tour, if you will.
Almost.
Right. What has the reception been like when you come to visit a school in Cumberland County or wherever you do go to? Are they receptive? Are they listening, or are they shooing you away? We don't need any of that. Or how is it?
I'm actually quite surprised, I would say, because I feel like I've been pretty well received. The first presentation I did in the role of Miss Cumberland County, I did with a scholars program, and I did it via Zoom. And since my social impact initiative now is just simply encouraging mental health conversations, I feel like that really was receptive, because throughout the question and answer time and throughout the time when I was presenting, the students were literally asking me about my mental health and what I do to cope with when I don't have the best days. And that's the goal of like what my social impact initiative. I want people to feel empowered to ask those questions. And I want students to really recognize what it means to have positive mental health and what mental health is, period. And I feel like that's what's really being implemented when I go around and I have this mental health tour, as you called it. And I feel like that's, I feel like that's really being received, because it's being reciprocated back to me when I have these lessons or when I have these times to speak to students.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How does it make you feel personally when you know that one of the kids are listening?
I feel great, because I know that this isn't something that I go through by myself. So I feel empowered hearing other people being empowered to use their voice. And I think it's important that our youth really start to unlearn the stigma attached to mental health, so that when they're older, their families will unlearn the stigma, and then it won't be as prevalent as it is in our day and age. I went to Shalleck High School, and I spoke to their Students of Color Association, and the students were telling me what they do to keep up with their mental health and how they express themselves and what troubles they go through, because bullying is a very prevalent thing in high schools. So they were talking to me about what they deal with and how they get through it at night. And I'm like, you guys are giving me the lesson. And that's what really sits with me, because I'm also another young person talking to other young people. And then we're just simply having that conversation. And that's really what I want to develop in my county.
You touched on earlier about dancing.
Right.
So we're not going to fast forward through that. Okay. We're gonna zero in on that. I wanted to know if you can share some of your special skills with us. Just talk about a little bit about what you're passionate about. It sounded like you were pretty passionate about. I heard you mention singing as well. Talk to me about it, because I already have an idea about you dancing, but tell me when you started dancing. Tell me what it is and what it means to you to dance and have the opportunity to use your space and add rhythm and add some type of tempo to what you're doing with what God gave you, with your natural limbs. Tell me about it a little bit.
So I think I started dancing probably as soon as I came out the womb. That's what I tell people, because I feel like I was probably dancing in my mother's stomach, to be honest. I think the first place I danced was in the church. My mother told me a story of when my older cousins were doing a praise dance, I think at a youth campaign that we had. And I literally got out of the seats and I went up there and I joined them, because apparently I knew the dance from when they were practicing at home. So performance was probably when I was 3. Since then, I've been training in a lot of styles, but I would say that dance is my safe space, and that's where I can really express everything that I can't verbalize. And I do believe that it is a gift that God gave me, and it is something that really resonates with people. So when I have the opportunity to dance, that's when I'm really my rawest and true self that I can't speak on or I can't touch on verbally. It means a lot to me. It really does.
Who are some of your role models then? Whether it be in dance, whether it be in any type of performing art, who are the people that you looked up to or were inspired by over the years, not just today, but starting from maybe when you started dancing in that praise dance?
My number one role model is always going to be my mother. That's stamped. Like, it's always going to be Christina. So I would say that because my parents ended up divorcing when I was, I think, 7 or 8. And since then, I lived in a single parent household, me, her, and my sister. And I've watched how she's overcome so much and raised 2 children on her own, had to relearn being a mother and being a parent in America and being a Black woman and the injustices that are against women of color. So just seeing how she carried herself with poise and grace and then encouraged me to do the same really resonates with me. And that she's my role model, like no matter what, day in and day out, whatever she does, she always keeps her head held high and she never lets anyone see her down. Historically, there have been women that I do identify with. And one of them was Miss Ella Jo Baker, and she's a civil rights activist. And I think she's very important because although she wasn't in the limelight during that time, she was working behind the scenes and making a true impact. So I feel like even though you're not, like I said, in the front lines and in the cameras and in the papers,
Right.
whatever it be, you can still make an impact. And I feel like that really needs to be understood.
What's the biggest misconception of Cumberland County? Bridgeton, any place, anywhere in Cumberland County, being Miss Cumberland County. Tell me about it, because I'm from Atlantic County, honestly. So I work in Cumberland County, and I've grown to love Cumberland County, but I'm a like Atlantic City boy,
Okay.
Pleasantville, all that good stuff. So
Oh.
what would you like people to know? Clear some misconceptions up about this lovely place, Cumberland County.
Okay. So being a Cumberland County native, growing up, I've heard a lot of, bad talk towards Cumberland County, or just the grand scope that people look down on where I come from. And being Miss Cumberland County, even if I wasn't Miss Cumberland County, I would say that where I come from is very historical in context. Like, we have a lot of history that goes back to slavery and the Underground Railroad. We have tons of history when it goes back to that. I would say that we're beautifully diverse with our populations that we have here, and the culture that resonates even in Bridgeton alone, in the county overall. And I would say that we are a diamond in the rough. And I remember when I was in my interview for Miss Cumberland County, not this year, but last year when I competed, they asked me the same question. And it really stuck with me, because they asked me that same question. I'm like, that really stuck with me because, in regular conversation, outside looking in, people tend to look down on this county as a whole, because it may not be what you see in maybe Gloucester County or Burlington County, whatever it may be. So even going away to school and coming back here, I realized how beautiful of a town it is, and really what we have to offer here. So I say that my home is a diamond in the rough, and you have to really sit and appreciate all that we have to offer here.
Do me a favor and share with me one of your favorite places in Cumberland County that you may go to or you just enjoy anywhere.
So my favorite place in Cumberland County is Sunset Lake, and that's right across the street from the Cohanzic Zoo. And I would say that Sunset Lake is my favorite place because I went there a lot in high school to dance. Me and my mom actually went out there, and she would bring the speaker and she would just record me improvising, because that was where I was able to reground myself in Ashley and then in my faith. And whenever it comes to the water and just the open elements, I'm able to really just sit and connect with my inner self and then the Lord, essentially. So I would say Sunset Lake is, because that's somewhere that really sits well with my family and sits well with me.
Being Miss Cumberland County, for those who may want your position one day, tell us what the responsibilities are for you. What are you actually supposed to do?
So according to our nice, lovely paper that we get at the beginning of orientation, Miss Cumberland, from what I can remember right now on the spot, Miss Cumberland County needs to be well-spoken. She needs to be able to, thank you. She needs to promote like her beliefs and then have evidence to back it up. You don't always have to agree with what someone has to say, but as long as you have evidence to back up your opinions and thoughts, they're not just pulled down from the sky. You need to be able to perform your talent that you perform on stage when asked. You need to be able to be a good role model, be someone that people look up to, carry yourself with grace and poise wherever you go, and just most importantly, be your. So, thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay. Could you do me a favor and leave an encouraging word for them? Like I said earlier, there are several, I'm sure, who are wanting to be in the seat that you're in. So for those behind you, what would you say to kind of ignite their flame, if you will, about becoming Miss Cumberland County, about those responsibilities? What would you say to make their walk a little easier?
Right. So something I would tell myself if I could go back in time would be, you can occupy whatever space you wish to, and there are no limits to whatever dreams or pursuits that you have. Just because you see one girl doing what you wish to do doesn't mean that you're not able to do that as well. And most importantly, trust yourself and trust your gut. Whatever you feel is important to advocate for or important to speak on, do that. Don't let anyone discourage you. And if they do, use that fuel to push you to where you need to be. There was one time when I was developing, like, my platform is what they used to call it, but social impact now. I was pitching it to someone, and they had told me that they stopped listening to me in the middle of my pitch.
Excuse me? What?
Yep. That's what happened to me. They said, you know what? I actually stopped listening to you. And in less than 30 days, I'm going to be in Atlantic City on the Miss New Jersey stage promoting that same social impact or that same pitch. So don't let anyone stop you. And if they do, use that fuel and use that to motivate and encourage you to get to where you want to be, because you can do whatever you put your mind to.
Last but certainly not least, I want to definitely move and transition into the what if section of the questions that I have. So I have 5 additional questions, and just answer as honestly as you can. You've been doing great so far.
Thanks.
First, what if? What if you were stranded? What if you were stranded on a deserted island, right?
Mm-hmm.
3 things would you want with you, and why?
Okay, well, if I'm stranded on an island, I'm hoping that it's somewhere in the Bahamas, first of all. I'm hoping that it's very nice. But, oh my goodness, a survival question. I'm hoping that I have water. That's important. I would hope that I have some sort of canned food on me somewhere, or hopefully I have some sort of skill to go fishing. Amen. Or, something so I can eat and drink. And I would hope that I would have my phone on me. I may not have service, but there could be a Wi-Fi connection somewhere. So hopefully I'd be able to phone a friend or book a plane ticket, something to get me out of there, because you can do anything nowadays. I'm hoping. I'm really not the best for survival skills. So,
okay.
Fingers crossed.
Right. Definitely. So, next one. What if you had the power to normalize something? What would it be? Anything you wanted to normalize, what would it be?
I feel like this question might be a little self-explanatory, but I would want to normalize mental health conversations, and just, especially in my community, I would like to normalize the fact that you don't always have to be 100%. And sometimes the best thing that you can do is get out of bed and change your clothes, or maybe have a meal. I think that's something that really needs to be normalized and destigmatized in my community. So if I had the power to do that, that's what I would want to do.
What if you had the opportunity to collaborate with one of your favorite artists or role models that you really look up to and inspires you? Who would it be, and what would you create?
So my favorite musical artist is Jhené Aiko. And if I had the opportunity, first of all, if I had the opportunity to be in her presence, I would try not to faint, because I love her.
Shout out to Jhené. I'm sure she watches What's Good South Jersey, but I'm just saying.
I will sponsor me. But if I had the opportunity to collab with her, I would want her to sing, but maybe like an acoustic version of like one of her songs. And then I could like improv to her singing, or I could have like a routine created, and then we could like record it, and it could go like viral on Instagram or YouTube. And then I would be, oh, that's the girl that danced with Jhené Aiko on YouTube. I would love that. I would take that to the grave with me.
Wow. Okay. Shout out to Jhené one more time. Anyway, next, what if you had the choice, what if you had to choose between being loved by people or being highly influential by people? What would you choose, and why?
So optimistically speaking, I would want to be loved by people, because first of all, I feel like in today's age, it's hard to find just genuine love. There's always something or a motive behind something nowadays, sadly. But optimistically speaking, I would want to be loved by people, because love is very powerful. But if we're speaking realistically, how the world is, being highly influential would probably be more beneficial in some cases. But if it has to be just a what if question, I would say being loved.
Hands down. That's my choice too. And last but certainly not least, I hope this doesn't sound morbid, but
okay.
What if this was your last day on Earth?
Mm-hmm.
Like the last day, there's no more days after this. Actually, that's it, right? I want to know, who would you spend your time with? And why? What would be your last meal? And how would you like to be remembered?
So if today was my last day on Earth, I would want to spend it with my family, of course, because my family and I are very, very close. That's also another moral that I hold tight, is family values. I'd want to see my grandmother. I'd want to see my cousins, my aunts, my mother, my sister. I would spend the whole day with them. My last meal would probably be chicken Alfredo, penne noodles. It has to have broccoli in it, and chicken noodle soup. That's my favorite meal.
That's good.
good. And then I would want to be remembered as someone who did all that she could to make people feel included and to make people feel heard and seen. Yeah.
Well, let's end this interview, this lovely conversation with these words. Thank you again for your time. And I know you're busy, Miss Cumberland County. So thank you again for your time and just for living. Thank you for, just bringing who you are genuinely to the position, to the title, and for serving, just for serving ultimately. And you're definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, what's good in South Jersey, always. And yeah, man, this was dope. So thank you again for coming. And I'm gonna declare it and claim it now. I'm talking to the next Miss New Jersey. I'm just gonna say it. Yeah, we're just gonna do it like that. And that is a wrap. So thanks again for coming. You have a great day.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.